beautiful souls. Welcome to Soulful Sessions with Rory, the podcast where we dive deep into the matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. I'm your host, Rory, and I'm thrilled to embark on this soulful journey with each and every one of you. Soulful Sessions is your safe space for introspection, inspiration, and maybe even a little revelation. Whether you're sipping your morning coffee, winding down after a long day, or just seeking a moment of connection, you're in the right place. Before we dive into today's soulful exploration, I want to remind you that Soulful Sessions with Rory is designed for entertainment purposes only. While we may touch on profound topics and meaningful discussions, it's important to approach our conversations with an open heart and a sense of curiosity. Life is a journey, and so is this podcast. We'll navigate the realms of self-discovery, spirituality, and personal growth. But remember, the insights we share here are not a substitute for professional advice or guidance. Always consult the appropriate professionals regarding your unique circumstances. So whether you're a seasoned seeker or just dipping your toes into the waters of self-exploration, get ready for a blend of wisdom, laughter, and a touch of magic in each episode of Soulful Sessions with Rory. Narcissism versus narcissistic behavior. So I know I'm talking about this topic yet again. The reason I'm talking about this topic is because so many people have brought it back up in different debates, different conversations. You know, you hear the buzzwords, gaslighting, grandiose behavior. All of these things are apparent, but why is it so important these days? Well, I presume that because of social media, you have more people placing themselves in the spotlight and more people who are basically giving off the character traits of a narcissist. But there's a distinct difference in someone who has characteristic traits and someone who is a narcissist. Narcissistic personality disorder is an actual disorder that's in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Behaviors, the DSM-5. And so, but narcissistic traits is not. So how do you know the difference? Because when you're identifying somebody that's a true narcissist, it's kind of difficult to distinguish between someone who's simply exhibiting narcissistic behaviors. So let's talk about it a little bit. Narcissistic personality disorder, man, that's a tongue twister right now. Narcissistic personality disorder, the first thing that I notice with a person that's in the DSM is grandiosity. So that is someone who basically has an exaggerated sense of self-importance. It's like, I am the director of this, and I am the go-through, and, I am superior to everyone else who's trying to do what I'm doing or who's in this field. And they have this thing, and they want you to acknowledge it as well. And that's one of the things that I notice. And there's this constant need for admiration, whereas you have to tell them how great they are. You can literally come to them with a problem, and somehow that conversation will turn into how great they are. See what I did? See how I helped you get to this place, and how I helped you be this, and how I helped you be that. And the next thing that's on that list is a certain lack of empathy. They literally do not care what's going on with the people around them. And more importantly, they don't care about the person that they're actually affecting or hurting. So it's almost as if they struggle to understand or to care about other people's feelings, and especially other people's perspectives. So as they're sitting here, they are literally going through this change, or you're going through the change, and they're just looking at you like, but didn't you hear about my problem? They'll dismiss it, they'll minimize it, or even worse, they'll exploit your emotions for their gain. That's where you go to that person, and they'll take your problem and turn it into a problem they're having and totally disregard what's going on with you. And you're just sitting there like, wow, like, did you not hear my problem? Yeah, but, I understand what you're going through, but let me tell you what happened to me. I've also been in a position where this, and that, and, and I hurt, and now look at me, I've overcome this. You should praise me. You should tell me how great I am. Now, of course, they don't use those words, but I'm trying to give you the gist of what's happening. And I think another part of that one that I don't like in particular is when they use exploitive behavior. So they will take advantage of people to achieve their own goals. In other words, let's go back to the boss situation. Whereas, first of all, they will sit there and use your desire to be better, or use something that would hurt you in a sense for themselves to move ahead. Like take credit for your work, take credit for something that you put together, and act like it's nothing. Like, oh, well, I did this. Wasn't my team, it was me. I was the one that got us to here. And sometimes you may hear it or you may see it and you're not really thinking about it, but yeah, they just took credit for your work because they truly don't care who they hurt. The relationship that you have with someone with narcissistic personality disorder is usually one-sided, because they don't care and they don't mind exploiting you for your abilities. I call it stealing your joy. They'll come in and just steal your joy, or they'll take any sunshine. It's like if you walk in a room and you're the highlight of the room, they will make sure to jump up and get the admiration and get the attention. Or they'll say something about you to deflect so that they can get what they need. Even if you're expressing sorrow, you could have just lost somebody and be hurting, I lost my mom, and they'll cry hard for you so that they can get attention. Where everyone will be consoling them because they're emotionally distraught over you. Air quotes, right? So that's just one of many examples that I could think of. Now, the one that I think that people have in a relationship a lot, from what I've heard, is the difficulty of someone with narcissistic personality disorder handling criticism. Oh my goodness. It is so difficult for someone with, let's just call it MPD, to handle criticism that they will get angry. They would even curse you out. They will do harsh, mean things. Seriously, mentally ill things, possibly lock you out of an area, or just, you tell them, hey, what you're doing is this. Oh, you can't tell them that. You can't tell them they're wrong. They will purposely try to punish you or hurt you. And that's where the lack of empathy comes in too, because they don't care. You should have never questioned who they are. In other words, made them feel small. And we'll go into why a lot of them feel the way that they feel, and it's a lot to do with insecurities and things like that. So a tool that they use to help them in this process is gaslighting, where they will sit there, you'll sit there and say, hey, you did this to me and it hurt me tremendously. Oh, I did this. What are you talking about? I didn't do that. I think that you got it wrong. Well, truthfully, I feel like if you wouldn't have done this, then you probably wouldn't feel the way that you feel because I didn't do anything. Or if you wouldn't have done this, then I wouldn't have done what I did. You're the reason that I'm unhappy, and when I was unhappy, I did this heinous thing to you because of you. So you're the problem, and I'm just a victim here. Victim blaming. Gotta love it, right? So as they are sitting there telling you what the problem is, and they're removing any power or trying to remove any power that you have over the situation because they do not want to take accountability. Because if they take accountability, then they're not so great now, are they? And that sometimes is part of the issue. They're still trying to be great. They're still trying to say, hey, look at me. I'm a superstar. I'm doing all this stuff for you. Now, if you're married to a narcissist, or if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, this can get really tricky because everything you do becomes a competition. And that competition is derived from envy. If you buy a new car and you're married to a narcissist, you best believe they're going to get something equivalent or better. And it's I don't know why, but it's just what they do, because they want to believe that others are envious of them when in reality, they're envious of everyone else. And so it's a competitiveness. Oh, you got a new car. Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. Well, how did you get a new car? Or why did you get a new car? Well, I'm gonna go get a new car too, you know. And in their minds, they've justified it because they don't think you're supposed to be better than them. When in fact you're not even in competition with them. And they'll basically downplay or belittle your success. As you're sitting there celebrating who you are and what you've done, what you've accomplished, they're going, oh, that's okay, but you know, such and such got a car better than that. You know, or that's okay, you know, anybody can go out and get a new car. And one, you didn't even ask them for their opinion, and now it's all of a sudden it's a topic of discussion that you never asked about. So when you address it and you start questioning them, this is when they go into the other part, which we kind of touched on a little bit, which is the gaslighting, the manipulative tactics. You know, so you're talking gaslighting, triangulation, and love bombing. Now, love bombing usually happens in the beginning, and I want to talk about that one because it's hard to differentiate between love bombing and someone genuinely liking you. You know, for instance, I'm a very romantic person. I love romance. You know, I don't have a problem with sending a woman flowers, telling her, hey, I'm thinking about you. I love you. You know, I can't wait to spend time with you. So what's the difference in doing that when you're a narcissist, though? Well, the difference is that one, it's used to control a situation, and it's used to get admiration. It's used to make this person very affectionate with you and almost addicted to your attention early on in a relationship to gain their trust. Now, how do you know the difference too? Is time. Because in time, you'll know that person will stop doing it as much. They'll start holding you accountable for doing it. Like, hey, you didn't tell me you love me. Hey, you know, you haven't done this or you haven't done that. Now, mind you, they stopped doing it altogether. But now they're waiting for you to do it. And their reason is, oh, I did it for you all the time. You know, and so you're stuck like, you know, yeah, this person did do that, but they stopped. And you never did that. So that wasn't even your character or personality. So now it's just, they kind of just stop the behavior because they're not getting the response that they want from the love bombing. And you're stuck trying to decide if you did something wrong. Goes back to the gaslighting. Because now if they stop treating you a certain way, instead of you questioning their behavior, you start questioning your own. Like, man, what did I do that made them stop treating me like I'm special? So another thing we talked about is triangulation. Triangulation with a narcissist is when you try to expose them, right? Let's say you all have a group of friends, children, parents, whatever. You try to expose them. Trust and believe that beforehand, they're going to try to pit these same people against you. They're going to try to make you look like you're the problem. You're the one, oh, you know, well, he did this, and this, so that's why we're having this problem. Or she did this, and this, and that's why we're having this problem. So before you even realize it, this person's already told everybody how horrible you are. So they can come to you and say, hey, why did you treat this person like that? This is a good person. Because remember, they've already been love bombed by this person. So they already are looking at this person as being happy, chipper, and everything is great. Oh, he's a wonderful person. Oh, she's great. She could possibly never treat you wrong. You know, maybe you need to take a step back and look what you did. Because if your relationship isn't working, it's definitely your problem. They have no idea who this person is in real life. And so now you're stuck because he's already told you that you're the problem. Then he got other people telling you that you're the problem. And the only thing that they've ever seen and you saw initially was the love bombing. So it will make you question who you are. Oh man, maybe I'm not. Don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. And the other part is a superficial relationship. So most of the times with people with narcissistic personality disorder, they have an often shallow transactional relationship with you. It's based off of the importance of that person to them, and not in that way, but what can this person do for me? So initially when you're dating somebody like that, it's sex, money, status. It's a variety of things that they are looking to get from you. So let's say, for instance, this person doesn't have a group of friends, and you introduce them to all your friends, or her to all your friends, and now that has become their social circle. And remember the part where I said pitting people against you? So the people that loved and adored you are now getting a different picture of you. You think you're losing your mind. You're not, because he's already planted the seeds, or she's already planted the seeds with your group of friends. And so the other term is that with the transactional relationships, let's say in the beginning, you could have been giving this person praise, sex, money, a position at work. It could be a variety of things. Now, the problem with that is that they can't maintain that personality trait for long. They can't maintain the give and take. They can't maintain the love bombing. For whatever reason, it stops. And so that's when you start realizing, wait, something's different. But again, they'll switch to the gaslighting, because if you're catching on, they're gonna try to take a step back and say, hey, wait, what are you doing? We're not in a good place because you did this, this, and this. Don't be fooled by that. Now, I've said this before, and it's not that I'm against any of these types of people, but I will tell you, a lot of people who have narcissistic personality disorder are coming from a place of insecurity. And so what do you do when you're insecure about something? Some people say, oh, you hide, you do this. No, it's the opposite. Usually it's people who are in good shape. They're taking care of themselves, or they're in a high position of power, and they put value on achievements, physical appearance, material possessions, so much so that if other people don't have them, it's like, oh, they're beneath me. So in other words, for instance, a college degree, a narcissist will respect a person who's an idiot with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or even a doctorate over a person who's highly intelligent and well-to-do, well, to an extent, because if the person has money, they equate that with achievement as well. So you have to be careful and look at those telltale signs. Oh, look at what I have. Look at what I possess. Oh, I have my degree in this. I have my degree in that. Oh, I'm certified to do this. I'm certified to do that. So basically what they're telling you is that they're not a person. They're this label, this job, this degree, because they're still learning who they are. They're still learning to try to find their own identity. And it goes into a sense of entitlement, because, oh, well, I have my doctorate, so I should be able to do this. Or, I'm the supervisor. I should be able to do this. Or I'm the man in a relationship, or I'm the woman in a relationship. I take care of the kids. I do. So there's a sense of entitlement where they feel like they deserve special treatment. They've earned privileges that they truly have not earned, and don't realize that it's a courtesy. They become impatient and angry when they don't get their way. So for instance, when they feel like you owe them something, whether it be praise, whether it be affection, whether it be money, and you don't give it to them, then it's like, F it then, or why wouldn't you do this? And I hate to say it, in some cases, they can be abusive, whether it's a man or a woman. They could be verbally abusive. They can be physically abusive, emotionally abusive, because they didn't get their way. And not just that, but because they lack empathy, they don't they don't acknowledge boundaries. And so they will push the limit of your boundaries. You could sit there and say, hey, don't do such and such because it does this. You best believe they're going to do that, especially if it serves their needs. So in other words, if they want something from you and your boundary is in the way, then it won't matter. They're going to overstep your boundary. They want a sense of entitlement. They have this sense of entitlement that just simply says, hey, I deserve everything and you're going to give it to me. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it. It doesn't matter what you have going on in your life. It doesn't matter, because they become the priority, and they're going to gaslight you into believing that you failed them and they're the victim. So, and that goes along with their boundaries. Now, you put all of these things together, And that's pretty much someone with narcissistic personality disorder. And I know that even though that seems cut and dry, but here are some traits of someone who just has some narcissistic traits. And I think for me, with the narcissistic personality disorder, it really boils down to the lack of empathy and using people and hurting people intentionally, and then turning into the victim. So that's something that's done on a consistent basis. And if you look it up in the DSM, it'll tell you how long and so forth and so on. Now, someone who has traits, or someone who I would say just has traits, is self-centeredness compared to the grandiose, behavior. It's arrogance and overconfidence. It's difficulty empathizing, but not truly a lack of empathy. And they are seeking validation all the time. Now, a lot of times this behavior is temporary. So it's kind of a circumstantial behavior. It might be them in a high pressure job trying to fill themselves out. I mean, it could be a variety of things. And I'm not making excuses for people with narcissistic traits. I'm only simply saying that they don't have narcissistic personality disorder. Now, some of these people can have these traits and display them over and over again. Whereas it could be ebbs and flows. It could be, lack of sleep. It could be so many different things, but that doesn't necessarily make them a narcissist. So you would have to kind of feel it out. If this person is gaslighting you all the time, playing the victim, never taking accountability, 9 times out of 10, they are narcissists, or they have narcissistic personality disorder. But if it's just a self-centeredness, where they want some recognition, like, hey, you could at least congratulate me for graduating. That's way different than them finding something every single day to be praised for. And that's how you know the difference. Now, of course, just because you know the difference, that doesn't mean in either situation you really know how to handle the situation. So the number one thing is you have to set and enforce your boundaries. So be clear about the behavior that you think is acceptable and stick to it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. In a lot of situations, this may end your relationship because a narcissist doesn't want to be told what to do or what they can't do. They want their fun. They want everything. They want the praise, the accolades, and they don't care how they get it. So when you set boundaries, you got to be prepared to stick with those boundaries. Avoid engaging in power struggles. You don't have to prove you're in control. They tend to thrive on control and conflict. So you want to avoid that at all costs. And in some cases, you just may simply need to ignore them. Like, hey, no, these are my boundaries. No, I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm done. And if you can leave the situation, walk away, or ignore them where it doesn't escalate, you do that. Power and control is what they're looking for, because if they can argue with you, they can start gaslighting you. The minute you start questioning their behavior, they got you, because they're going to keep reeling you in. Number 3 is focus on your own well-being. Self-care is the best care. Protect your mental and emotional health by limiting exposure to their toxic behavior. Did you hear what I said? Limit your exposure to their toxic behavior. Because if you are around them and you're allowing them, whether it be through a phone call, text message, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, you have to protect your peace. I say protect your peace at all costs. And the way to do that, that block button is real. You can avoid it, you can walk away, but they do not have control over who you are. You do. Last but not least, I used to always question that statement, last but not least. Seek professional help. When dealing with a narcissistic person, whether it be traits or actual narcissistic personality disorder, it can take a toll on your mental health, which can take a toll on your physical health, can take a toll on your spiritual health. If you're wondering why you don't feel the same, you don't act the same, if something is wrong in your life right now, and you're looking at your partner, or you're looking at your supervisor, you're looking at your children, You're looking at your parent, and every time you think about them and something just doesn't feel good inside, go talk to somebody, preferably a therapist. I just happen to be one. But go and ask the right questions. Ask them, hey, here's what I see. Is there any validity to this? But then you also got to question yourself. Am I being triggered by this behavior? Am I even a narcissist? And there's nothing wrong with posing that question to yourself, because in today's society, what you're going to have is a lot of people who accuse you of being a narcissist when you just simply love yourself, because you don't have the traits, or they're bitter, they're hurt, and they want to tell you who you are. So this is a very tricky subject, and there's no, right answer based off your situation, and there's no wrong answer. What it is perception. Perception is everything. As a clinician, yes, I can sit there and diagnose somebody and say, hey, you know what? This person has narcissistic personality disorder. That doesn't mean that's who they're going to be for the rest of their lives. It doesn't mean that it's not a circumstantial incident that's happening that I can see in that moment. So what I also say is give someone some grace. But the first person you have to give grace to is you. The first person you have to love unconditionally is you. Unconditional love is one of the best defenses against someone with narcissistic personality disorder or someone exhibiting narcissistic traits. So I'll tell you, like every time, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.